Hello there, ICS3U folks. This is our second lesson in our last or next to last unit on this is on functions and procedures, and very important topic today. Big long lesson. So I think I gave you this note, and we're just going to go through it together. This is going to be a weird kind of lesson because it's going to be a little bit of back and forth. Me asking you to do some stuff and then come back and start listening to the video again. So first of all, what's the difference between a function and a procedure? So I want you to stop the video, go and Google away, my friends, and see if you can figure out what the difference between a function is and a procedure is. And then come back here and I'll tell you my version. Okay, go do that. Pause now. All right, hopefully you're back after having Googled. And if you're not, then shame on you for not listening and following the instructions. But here we go. A function is a subprogram that returns a value of some sort after execution. So a function, a subprogram, goes off and does something, returns a value. Where a procedure is a subprogram that's a collection of lines of code that just do something, that no value is returned. So when you call a procedure, it goes away, does something, comes back to the main program, and no value is returned, where a function, the value is returned. And in Java, we refer to both functions and procedures as methods. Methods is the name for subprograms in Java. And other programming languages might keep these separate, and some of them it's the same word, but in Java they're called methods. I will refer to them with those three words. Okay, functions returns a value, procedures does not. Methods, when I talk about methods, I'm talking about Java in particular. This is another object-oriented programming term that will be more important in grade 12. So we'll learn more about this magical word method in grade 12 computer science. Functions and procedures. This is why we care. They allow us to break complicated tasks into smaller tasks. So even in the last unit, which was only our second coding unit ever, the programs were getting pretty big, and wouldn't it have been nice if we had a technique or a method that would have broken the big problem into smaller problems, and now we're going to be able to do that. And that's the idea of a subprogram, so we can break a big thing into small things. This will allow more than one programmer to work on a project at the same time. We talked about that in the software development life cycle, that it's nice to break a big task into smaller tasks. And the idea is we can get more than one programmer working on one program by busting it up into functions and procedures. What else? Allows parts of a complex program to be tested and debugged separately. So what we can do is we can test just a function, and all the other pieces are kind of skeleton pieces called stubs, or we could even think of it as a prototype, where they don't actually work. We're only testing the one part of a program, just one subprogram. And that allows us to find bugs easier. It allows us to write less code. Code can be reused, not only more than once in a single program, but also from program to program. So once we write the code for a function or a procedure, not only will we be able to call that function, but we'll also be able to scoop that function and jam it into a whole nother program. So it's going to be, allow ourselves to save time, especially once the code is good. The last point, they often have parameters, data required for the procedure or the function or code to work. A number that is input into the method. A number, or as we'll see, a string. These are kind of, in math, we think of parameters as inputs. An input to a function, and then we get an output. Well, that sounds like math, and it does have a little bit of a math feeling to it in certain respects. So this is true in all computer science. It doesn't matter what programming language we're working with. This is true about subprograms, function procedures all the time. you already have some experience working with functions and procedures. We didn't know it at the time, but there are tons of built-in Java functions and procedures. So there's an exercise I want you to go get. I don't know if I have it open here. No, I don't have it open. I'm going to pause this video and show you what you're supposed to do, and then you're going to go off and do it. So I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so this is the exercise that you should have open, and you got to be careful with Smart Notebook. You need to double click on both files, otherwise it'll overwrite the one. You have to have two open at the same time to be able to make this work. Here's the exercise, and this is a exercise. In the middle here is just a bunch of built-in Java functions that you've already dealt with. It says sort the pile of built-in Java methods into two columns. Is it a function or a procedure? Well, think about the definition. A function returns a value, and a procedure just does some stuff. So draw oval. Draw oval, well, what does that do? That draws an oval. Does it return a value? No, it does not. So that's a procedure. So I put it in that pile. And so you're going to go back and forth and sort these. Notice it says, in some cases, there are compound statements. So this one's a compound statement. It generates a number between 1 and 10, and then assigns it to the variable spin. You concentrate on the bold function. So the bold part here, gen.nextInt 1 to 10. Well, what does this function or procedure do? Does it return a value? Yeah, it returns a value because the inputs are 1 and 10, and the output that comes back from this, the return value, is a random number between 1 and 10. So this is a function. And so you're going to sort these, and at the end, either with a partner or just by yourself, for each method, identify the parameters. How many parameters were there and what type were they? So for instance, in this method, this procedure, it was called draw oval, and it had 4 parameters, 4 inputs. And what type were they? Those were all integers, and they represented actually actually, what was it? It was the center of the oval, the horizontal radius, and the vertical radius of that oval, I believe. I believe that's what that represented, but that's not important. All you have to do is see that there are 4. There are 4 inputs for this one. You don't have to write anything down here. It says, for each function, think about what data type is being returned. So in this one, I see the 2 parameters. There's 2 integer parameters, and what's being returned is another integer, right? Because what's returned from this function is a random number between 1 and 10. Okay, and you just go through and you can answer those with a classmate or by yourself. And there's a whole pile of them there. You just sort them into functions and procedures. The next thing I'm going to do back in my note is to see how you made out. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, or actually I'm going to stop the video, pick it up in part 2, because you're going to go ahead and do that exercise. Now.